You have been bitten 100 times, and you never once felt it happen. That is not luck. The creature that did it can smell your breath from across a room, see the warmth of your body glowing in the dark, fly on wings that beat hundreds of times a second, and slip 6 needles into your skin without touching a single nerve. And 1400 years ago, the Qur'an named it. When Allah chose the mosquito as an example, the people scoffed. What does God want with something so small and lowly? By the end of this, you'll see it was the perfect choice. They said it out loud, so Allah answered them in the book itself. So let's do what they wouldn't. Let's look closely at the creature they thought was beneath mention, because what they dismissed is a masterpiece of design. And her design does not begin with the hunt. It begins in a drop of water. Some mosquitoes don't just drop their eggs and leave. They glue them together, side by side, into a tiny floating raft. Hundreds of eggs locked into a shape that cannot sink. When the young hatch, they hang just beneath the surface, upside down, and breathe through a built-in snorkel, a tube at the tail pushed up into the air. And why the water at all? Because it eats in the water, but it cannot breathe it. So it hangs head down and snorkels the air above. 2 worlds at once. Before it has ever flown or ever found you, it is already engineered to live. Start with how she finds you. Long before she reaches you, she already knows you are there. Every time you breathe out, you release a faint plume of carbon dioxide. And with her 2 feathery antennae, she can lock onto it from as far as 50 feet away, turning into the wind to follow it to its source. As she closes in, she reads the moisture on your skin and the smell it gives off. She is not guessing. She is a flying sensor array. Then there is heat. You are always glowing, not in light you can see, but in infrared, the warmth that pours off your skin, and she can see it. Sensors on the tips of her antennae are tuned to that invisible glow, and in 2024, scientists at the University of California showed that adding just the infrared of skin-warm heat doubled how hard she hunts. She is reading a heat map of you in the dark. She also has eyes, hundreds of tiny lenses each, that never close. And here is the wonder of them. They wrap around her head, so she can see almost all the way around herself at once, with no blind spot behind her. But she does not see you the way you see her. Her world is a low-resolution mosaic, blurry, built for movement and dark shapes, not for detail. To her, you are a looming dark shape, and the moment you move, she has you. And just as with the needles you'll see in a moment, we didn't only admire those eyes, we copied them. In 2013, John Rogers, an engineer at the University of Illinois, built a camera modeled on the insect eye. A dome studded with 180 tiny lenses, giving it a 160-degree field of view and a focus so deep that almost everything, near and far, stays sharp at once. A camera for wide-angle eyes and flying machines, copied from an eye you'd swat without a second thought. And the way she flies is its own wonder. Those wings beat hundreds of times a second, up to 800, faster than almost any animal her size. And that blur of speed is the whine you hear in the dark. In 2017, engineers at the Royal Veterinary College found she doesn't fly like other insects. She uses 3 separate tricks to make lift, catching the air off the back of her wings and twisting them at the exact end of each stroke. On paper, her wings are too thin and too fast to work. They work perfectly. To steer at that speed, she needs balance, and she carries it built in. Where a second pair of wings would be, she has two tiny drumstick-shaped organs called halteres. They beat with her wings, and as her body tips or turns, they feel it, through the very same force that keeps a spinning top upright. They are gyroscopes, grown into a living thing, correcting her flight hundreds of times a second. And she does all of this in the dark. At the base of each antenna sits the Johnston's organ, so sensitive it reads the faintest stirring of the air around her, warning her of a surface or a hand before she ever touches it. She hears the air itself, so she finds you, and she lands. And this is the part that should stop you. You feel nothing at all. A needle is going into your skin, and your body, wired to feel the lightest touch, does not notice. How? Because what looks like one simple needle is not one needle at all. Tucked inside a protective sheath are 6 separate tools, 6 needles, each with a different job. She is carrying a surgical kit. The first 2 are the maxillae. Their tips are not smooth. They are lined with microscopic teeth, like tiny saws, and that jaggedness is exactly why you feel nothing. A rough edge meets your skin at only a few tiny points, so it barely disturbs the nerves, far less than a smooth pin would. She doesn't stab. She saws gently, and even vibrates the needle to ease it down. The next 2, the mandibles, hold the wound open so the others can reach deeper. And the 5th, the labrum, is astonishing on its own. It's a hollow straw whose tip is covered in sensors. It can taste the chemicals a blood vessel gives off, and it uses them to hunt, bending and searching under your skin, never once pulling back out, until it finds a vein. Call it the seeker. The 6th needle, the hypopharynx, does 2 things at once. It injects a saliva that stops your blood from clotting, so it flows freely, and that same saliva carries a compound that numbs the spot, so you sleep right through it. The itch you feel hours later is the only clue she was ever there. And watch what she does while she drinks. Your blood is warm, warmer than she is, and taking in that much heat that fast could cook her. So she keeps a single drop of fluid at the very tip of her body and lets it hang there, evaporating, cooling her from behind as she feeds, the same reason sweat cools you. And in doing it, she pours off the water she doesn't need, so what stays inside her is packed with nourishment. In 2012, Chloé Lahondère and Claudio Lazzari at the University of Tours in France filmed that cooling drop and measured the temperature drop themselves. And we did not just admire this, we copied it. A mechanical engineer named Seiji Aoyagi at Kansai University in Japan built an almost pain-free medical needle modeled on her mouth. 2 jagged shanks that go in first, a smooth tube that slides between them, all of it gently vibrating. Exactly her design. A human being studied the mosquito to spare other human beings pain. And we only watched the needles at work in our own lifetime. In 2012, Dr. Valérie Choumet and her team at the Institut Pasteur in Paris filmed the mouthparts moving inside living skin, the seeker bending and probing, and at high magnification, the red blood cells rushing up it. 1,400 years after the verse, we finally had the video. And yes, this same small creature is the deadliest animal to human beings. The malaria it carries takes around 600,000 lives a year, most of them children. The thing they called too small to mention holds, in its body, power over life and death. Now go back 14 centuries. No microscope, no lens, no way to know any of this. And the Qur'an does not just mention the mosquito, it chooses it on purpose as an example and tells us plainly, do not be surprised that Allah would. The same book that said the false gods you call on could never create even a fly, points you here to the mosquito. It is a sign from Allah to reflect on. Look at what one insect holds, antennae that smell your breath from across a room and see your body heat in the dark, eyes your breath switches on, wings that shouldn't fly, balanced by gyroscopes she was born with, 6 needles, saws, holders, a seeker that tastes your veins, an injector that numbs you as it works. A design so good our own engineers copied it, and could only film in 2012. All of it in a creature named in a book 14 centuries ago. What kind of book, with none of our instruments, points to the creature so precisely, and is not ashamed to? This is the Qur'an. But the sign was never the destination. The mosquito is here, so you'd stop and look. And once you know this book is from Allah, the point is not to be amazed and scroll on. The same Qur'an that showed you the mosquito also tells you why you are here. Your purpose, your feelings, what you want, what you need. So read it, reflect on it. That is Tadabbur. And then live by it. Allah tells us the messenger will one day say, My Lord, my people took this Qur'an as a thing abandoned. To abandon it is to leave it unread, unpondered, unlived. Do not be of them. For the same Lord promises, in the very next breath, sufficient is your Lord as a guide and a helper. Follow the guidance of Allah, and insha'Allah, you will be guided to success in this life and the one after it. May Allah make us among those who read His book, reflect on it, and live by it.